Hey, it's the Tax Lien Lady. We are live on Facebook. This is Ask the Tax Lien Lady Live. And I do apologize. I could not get my headset to work correctly. I am in Snowmageddon out there. Let's take a look. Hold on. Let me show you what I got here in my yard. See this? That's what we're dealing with here in the Poconos. There's the driveway out with the cars. I don't know if you could. So did you guys get to see that? So anyway, you might hear a snow blower. You might hear a snow blower. So I apologize about that. I couldn't get my headset to work. Hey, Tina, good to have you here. Good to have you. Hi. So this is Ask the Tax Lien Lady Live, and I'm here to answer your questions. And I did get a question in one of the Facebook groups, and it was on finding an attorney for Arizona to do an Arizona foreclosure. Hi, Teeny. You love the Poconos? Yeah, it's great, but we've got at least 3 feet of snow out there. So it's even like too high to go cross country skiing in, which is something I love to do, but I haven't gotten a chance to do it yet. Okay, I did go out a couple times in my yard last time it snowed, but actually not last time, but the time before that, because last time we didn't get enough snow, and the time before that it was perfect for a couple of days. So. But anyway, back to attorneys to do foreclosures in Arizona for tax lien foreclosures. There are two. One that I can name off the top of my head. One is Eric Kessler, and the other is Mark Manoyle. But there's a whole bunch of Arizona attorneys listed in tax sale finders. Now, members of the Tax Lien Profits Accelerator have access to tax sale finders, and all you do is you go into resources, and in the drop-down menu, there is something for attorney contact information. You click on that, and then you can even filter that by the state, and there's a bunch in Arizona. Okay. You can also Google, by the way, Arizona Tax Lien Attorney. Or tax lien foreclosure attorney in Arizona. You could Google that and see what you come up with there. Okay, so do we have any other questions that you guys want me to answer today? And while you're thinking about your questions, excuse me, I needed to get a sip of water here. Okay, so while you're thinking about your questions, let me tell you what's going on in Arizona, because right now I'm doing the Done With You training for the Arizona tax sales. I first did that in 2015, and I'm updating it this year. I did update it in 2017, and then I did an update for it in 2019, but I didn't update the whole course. Well, I'm updating the whole course in 2021 because there's been some major changes. The last major change was back in 2019 when Maricopa and Mojave went from Grant Street to real auction. And then all the Arizona sales were on real auction. And that's the way it started out this year. But we have and then we had 2 new counties go this year on real auction. But then we had, just in the past week, another county go online for the first time, and they're not using real auction. So I just did a training on that in the course. In the name of the course is Arizona Tax Sales. It's a Done With You training, which means I actually go through everything while the tax sales are going on and show you how to register and bid in these sales, how to do your due diligence on the properties. And you also get access to the Tax Lien Profits Accelerator for 30 days while you're in the course, which also gives you access to tax sale finders, which helps you look at the properties, filter the list, and look at the properties that are in the sale to determine which ones to bid on. Okay. And hi, Nicole. Nicole's with us today. Hi, and Stephanie. It's good to see you guys here. And okay, so Stephanie says she's in Georgia. Can I explain redeemable deeds? Oh, sure, Stephanie, be happy to do it. Now, Georgia redeemable deeds are more like a tax lien, and a tax lien state, and I'll explain that to you. But what a redeemable deed is when you go to the sale, you're actually paying for the deed. You're actually buying the property. So the amount of the back taxes gets bid up. That's your minimum bid, is the back taxes and penalties and whatever's owed is the minimum bid, but that gets bid up quite high because you're actually bidding for the property. However, there is a redemption period. In Georgia, it's 1 year, and you don't actually get the property until that redemption period is over. Now, in Georgia, you do have to get a lawyer to foreclose. In most redeemable deed states, you don't have to do that. You just go through a process and get the deed once the redemption period's over. But in Georgia, it is a judicial process and you do need an attorney. So it's a lot like a lien in Georgia, except that the price of the deed is bid up at the sale. Okay, and but you don't actually get ownership until the end of the redemption period and until you foreclose. Okay. Hi, Tom. Okay, we've got some more questions. And by the way, Nicole put a link in there for you, for anybody that is interested in getting in on this Arizona course on the Arizona tax sales. Again, once you get into this course, you get lifetime access and you get all the updates. So people who bought this course back in 2015 or 2017 or whenever they bought it, they get access to what we're doing now, to the 2021 updates. So if you buy it now, you get it for, what's there for this year and any updates that we do in the future. We have some live calls coming up. The next one is tomorrow night at 7:30. And then we have 2 more live calls. They are on Wednesdays. One is at 2 in the afternoon on Eastern time, and then the last one is at 7:30 p.m. again. All right, we already had 1 live call for our first week of training, and that's already, the recording is already in the course. There are 4 lessons. Lesson 1 and lesson 2 are already posted, and there are 2 more lessons that will be posted over the next 2 weeks while these tax sales are going on, because things are still changing. New counties are going online all the time in Arizona. Now there's only like 15 counties in Arizona. And originally, when we started out in 2021, we had 2 more. Originally, there were 7 online. We had 2 more. That's 9. And then there is 1 more. So that's 10. So right now, if you went to Tax Sale Finders and you looked at and saw what was happening, what was open right now for registration, there are 9 counties open. 2 of them are live. 7 of them are online, but there are 3 more that are going to be open this week. Okay. All right. So let's talk about some of the other questions. All right, Cross is asking, is $2,000 too much for a retainer for a closure attorney? Depends on the state. You're going to have to tell me which state. You guys, let me know what state you're asking about. And if you come in and say hello, it'd be really nice to know what state you're in. All right, Tom is saying, in Arizona, if there is an active previous lien and I'm awarded the current lien, confirming I would pay that lien off if it gets to foreclosure. Arizona is funny about that because there is no real priority of liens in Arizona. Now, what some counties used to do, and there might be some that still do this, is if there is a prior lien, some counties will only let there be one lien on a property. So if there's a prior lien and the tax lien holder does not pay the taxes, they will sell that lien with the current lien. All right, there are some counties that did that. I don't know if there's any that still do. I haven't checked on that yet. But the ones that don't, the ones that let there be multiple liens on properties, there's not a clear priority of liens. So you don't have to do that in Arizona, and you kind of have to be careful about that, because then anybody with a previous lien can come back and claim ownership or foreclose on the property. So it's a touchy situation in Arizona. Every county might be different. Okay, and we can talk about that in the, as a matter of fact, in the last lesson that we'll do in the Arizona tax lien course, we will look into the different counties and just how to do that. There are also, you also get access to tax sale finders, and in tax sale finders, there is a very in-depth, it's an hour and a half interview with one of the attorneys who goes over the whole process in Arizona. And there are also 2 white papers from 2 attorneys in Arizona on the tax lien process in Arizona. So some very good information there. All right, Cross is talking about Connecticut. And honestly, I'm not sure how much it is in Connecticut to foreclose on property. And Connecticut has 2 types of tax sales. They have tax lien sales and redeemable deed sales. So it might be different depending on what type of asset it is. Okay, but that's something you would have to ask the attorney in Connecticut, and also it will depend on whether you have a redeemable deed or a tax lien. Teeny is asking, has anyone used Land Bank to purchase a tax deed in Alabama? I have not. Alabama is not one of my favorite states. Yeah, but they do have a land bank. Actually, that is what they call their tax sales. Some states call them land sales. And I have not. I kind of stay away from Alabama because the judges there are not friendly towards investors. As a matter of fact, last year, this past year in Alabama, a judge rescinded all the tax sales. So, but I do know there are people that do invest in Alabama. As a matter of fact, Ray, who's usually on here, invests in Alabama. So he'd be a good person to ask about that. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, and that was Tom that asked about the lien priority in Arizona. And I wouldn't necessarily stay, and you're saying that it might be best just to stay away from those. I don't know if you mean the sales or liens with prior tax liens on them. The properties with prior tax liens, if you're doing an online sale, then they do indicate which ones have prior liens. So that is something that you can find out. So you can avoid that. You will find that most investors do avoid that and don't bid on those, and you can get very good rates on those also. So if you know how to deal with it, you can get good rates. But if you're a beginner, yeah, you might want to avoid the liens that have prior liens on them in Arizona. In other states, there's a clear priority of liens. So you don't, I know New Jersey, you don't really have to worry about it. There is a clear priority of liens. And you do not, in New Jersey, you do not have to redeem prior liens. But the prior lien, if they want to keep their position, they would have to redeem you. As a subsequent lien, you cannot redeem prior liens. But if you foreclose, you have to notify them. But if they don't redeem you, you foreclose them out. That's what the priority of liens is in New Jersey. Okay. So each state usually has a priority of liens, but Arizona really doesn't. Okay. Oh, hello, Jonathan from Indiana. I'll tell you what, our next, just to let everybody know, we had some changes to stuff that's coming up at taxlienlady.com. First of all, I want to let you know that our next wealth building webinar is at 7:30, not at 8 o'clock. That's next Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Okay. We were doing them at 8 o'clock on the second Wednesday night of the month, and we were going to 7:30 because our guests next week have another webinar that they do after the one that they're doing for us. So, and I've been wanting to move it earlier anyway. Okay, so we're going to 7:30. The other change that I want to let you know about is our next workshop. I had originally scheduled it for this weekend, for Sunday, this Sunday, and because I'm doing the Arizona training, and I decided to do a 4-week training for the Arizona training instead of just one day, I wanted to update the whole course. So we're pushing that back until the 21st, and that is on tracking your liens. We're updating the tracking your liens course. It's tracking your liens 2.0. And so that's going to be the 21st, which is a Sunday from 1 to 3. And stay tuned for, we don't have more information about that yet, but we will. But right now you can register for free for the next wealth building webinar. It's on notes and investing in out-of-state, profitable notes, strategies, and out-of-state investing next Wednesday. And we have special guests that are going to be doing that for us. And you can find out more about it. Nicole can put the link in there for you to find out more about that. Okay. And Bert asks, yeah, and I do see Bert's question, Nicole. I just didn't get to it yet. Because of the announcements. So I will get to that. So I told you about the 2 things that have changed: the time on the wealth building webinar and the date for our next virtual live workshop. Okay. Now then the following virtual live workshop in March, what happens next after these Arizona tax sales? So we're doing the Done With You training right now for Arizona. Next, what I'd like to do another Done With You training for the Indiana commissioner sales, which happen in March and April. So we will either, we might be doing that at the end of March. And we also have in the beginning of March, I'll be doing another conference. This will be a half-day conference. Did anybody come to our full-day conference that we did in January? We did our Investing for Success conference in January. Did anybody come to that? If you did, let me know what you thought about it. We're doing another one in March. This is going to be a half-day conference. It's going to be, last time we had 10 experts. It was like 6 hours. It was all day. This time we're going to have 5 experts. It's going to be half a day. It will be live, and it's going to be all women experts, okay? I have some great ladies lined up for you that you're really going to like. And we could talk about that more later. Let me get to your questions now. Okay, Bert, in Arizona, if we start the foreclosure process, and would homeowner be required to pay attorney fees and court fees on top of the interest and overdue taxes? If it redeems after you start the foreclosure process, a certain amount, yes, not all of it, but they would, and we'll go over that in the Arizona course. Off the top of my head, I don't know the exact answer to that, but some of that is returned, but not all of it. Okay. All right. However, we will go over that in the Arizona training. All right, Eli. Hi, Eli. I noticed New Jersey does not have any tax lien sales for February. I am curious, when's the next tax sales for New Jersey? Yeah, January and February are kind of light months in New Jersey. They'll start ramping up again in March, April, May, and then June is one of the biggest months in New Jersey. Okay, but they will start again in March. And there might be a couple in February that they just didn't announce. They don't announce them until 4 weeks before. Well, yeah, they would have announced them already for February. During February, they'll start announcing what's happening in March. There'll be some will start up again in March, and then even more in April, a little more in May, and then June is a lot. And here's why. Some municipalities are on a fiscal year and some are on a calendar year. The ones that are on a fiscal year, the fiscal year ends the end of June. It starts July 1st. So they've got to have their sales by the end of June. Okay. So that's why there's a whole lot in June. Same thing happens in December because the ones that are on a calendar year have to have all their tax sales by the end of the year. Okay. Yes, Bert, this time the conference will be Saturday. It will not be, last time I had it in the middle of the day. I mean, not in the middle of the day, it was all day, but it was in the middle of the week. It was on Wednesday. So next time, and I heard from people who said, they work and they weren't able to get to the live conference. So next time it is going to be on a Saturday. Okay, and Nicole has put in the link for you to join the next wealth building webinar. And remember, she had also put in the comments the link to find out more about the Arizona training. Oh, and when you do join the Arizona training, you get 30 days in the Tax Lien Profits Accelerator, which gives you 30 days access to tax sale finders. Okay, let's see what else we have here. And you're welcome, Eli. All right, so you guys, if you've got questions, let me know. I'm just looking to see if I missed anything. Oh, by the way, Stephanie had asked about Georgia, and some of the counties in Georgia do have a tax sale every month. Some of the bigger counties, it is very competitive because there is a 20% penalty or in Georgia, and it's a 1-year redemption time, and it's a very competitive. So I would go away from the big cities. Atlanta area is going to be very competitive. So try to go like 2 hours away from the big cities in Georgia. Go to the smaller rural counties. Now, the smaller rural counties don't have a tax sale every month. All right. They don't have them as often because they don't have as much of it available. All right. So Bert is asking, in the Arizona training, would you go through what exit strategies investor would have after the properties are foreclosed, whether it's fix and flip or fix and hold or other strategy? Yeah, and Bert, that depends on the people that are in there. On our last live call that we have, we could go over that because we do live mentoring calls. So the last live mentoring call that we have is February 17th, Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. And if you're in the training and you want me to go over that, I will. And I had an email go out today. Now, if you're not on my list, then you wouldn't have got it. But I had an email go out today that kind of outlines what we do in each of the lessons in that Arizona training. Okay. Nicole, is there anything else that I'm forgetting? I think the main thing, oh, I wanted to let you guys know what's going on in Arizona. So I told you there's a new county going online for the first time, and it's not on realauction.com. It's on a relatively new platform, and it's the first Arizona county, obviously, that's on this platform. And I put that in the training in lesson 2 that is in the Arizona tax sales, and I will be talking about that tomorrow night, how to register and bid in that sale. And Apache County has changed the date of their sale because there are certain state statutes that they have to advertise it in the local paper so many weeks before the sale, and because the advertisement didn't go out when it was supposed to, it went out later, they have to make their sale later. So they are still open for registration. They have extended the registration, and they have changed the date of the sale. Okay. All right, so Nicole has put a link in for you to get onto our newsletter if you want to get onto our list, our mailing list, and get the newsletter that goes out. We have a newsletter that goes out every month, but here's the thing. If you get on my mailing list, you're going to get a lot of emails from me. So just ignore the ones that you don't want, because if you unsubscribe, you won't get anything. I won't be able to send anything to you. You'll miss everything. So just, you know, I send out a lot of emails. Okay. Bert says, would you send Arizona training link to me? We put it in the comments. So it's in the comments. And Nicole can put it in again. And then all the information's there. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, and Nicole is going to send that to your email also, Bert. So you're good to go. Okay, also, I want to let you guys know that we have a private Facebook group that you could ask questions in. And I also do another Facebook Live there on Thursday, and that Facebook Live is a little training. It's not a Q&A like this. It's a little training that I do each week. The first 3 weeks of the month, okay, just like this. I only do this the first 3 weeks of the month, and that one also, because I take the last week off of doing these Facebook Lives. And that is at Investing for Success is the name of that group. And it is free to join. You just have to answer some questions and agree to the terms. Sometimes people answer the questions and they won't agree. They don't agree to the terms, or they don't see them. They don't. So we can't let them in. I just want to make sure that we don't get any people that are going to try to solicit everybody, or say something mean, or call me names. You'd be surprised. So we just want you to agree to the terms before you join, and just, we want to make sure that you're interested in tax liens. So that's like one of the questions we ask you before you join. And Nicole can put the link in the comments also for that Facebook group. It's called Investing for Success. And it's private, so you can ask me your questions there too. And here's what I do. I use those questions to create the little mini trainings that I do. So what I'd like for you to do when you get into that Investing for Success group is put in there what your biggest challenge is to tax lien investing and how I can help you. And I use those challenges, that the name of the Facebook Live in there on Thursdays at 2 p.m. It's the same time at 2 p.m. as this. is overcoming challenges. So I do a little mini training on what some challenges are with investing in tax liens and how you can overcome them. By the way, in the email that I had go out today, I had a link to a new article that I just put on my blog about paying subsequent taxes. Actually, it was about protecting the investment in your tax lien. Oh, so what I wanted to tell you guys is, hi, Jean. What I wanted to tell you guys is I'm so glad earlier. Now, if you came in late, you missed what I showed at the very beginning. I showed my front yard. I've got probably more than 3 feet of snow in my yard, right? And this started yesterday. Yesterday, we had like 2 feet, right? Now, and it snowed all day yesterday. Actually, it started Sunday and snowed overnight and then snowed all day yesterday. And so yesterday, I am so glad I went to a tax sale in New York, one of the cities in New York. And something that people don't know is that the cities in New York can have their own tax sales. Even though most of the counties sell deeds, they don't sell liens. The cities can do what they want. And there's some cities in New York that sell liens and they have their own tax lien sales and they make up their own rules. Okay. So last year, not 2020, but 2019, I went to a tax sale in one of these cities and I bought a lien there. And this particular city actually makes you pay the subsequent taxes, because if you don't pay them on time, you lose your investment. Okay. And I had 2 tax bills. One was a tax bill, one was a water sewer bill. They were both due February 1st, which means the check has to be postmarked in the mail, postmarked February 1st. So thank God I went to the bank and put it in on Saturday before the snow, because I would have never got out of here yesterday or today. Well, today would have been too late anyway, but it had to be postmarked by yesterday. And thank God I made it to the post office just before they closed instead of waiting until, because, I thought, oh, I'll do it Monday, but I knew that we were supposed to get all this snow. So thank God I did that. But anyway, but there's a whole blog post that I did about that, about protecting your investment and paying subsequent taxes, where I talked about, I didn't talk about how I made it to the bank. I made it to the bank, made it to the post office in time. But I talked about that ways that some counties or cities can make you pay subsequent taxes in that little blog post. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know about that. And by the way, my members get to know about these things. They get to know about these little known tax sales. When I went to that tax sale, there were no hedge funds there. Okay. And the way they work it is, and like I said, every city in New York can have their own rules. So this is different than all the other cities in New York. It is a 2-year redemption period, like the rest of New York. But this particular city, when you buy the lien, they bid up the price of the lien, which doesn't always happen in New York either, but they bid up the price. You pay premium for the lien. And then they make you pay the current year's taxes in the next 5 days, or they don't give you the certificate, or you forfeit the certificate. So then you have to pay the current year's taxes. And then they actually send the lien holder the bill for the next 2 years. So you wind up paying 4 years of taxes before, and then you get the deed before you actually get the property, but then you get the property. So it really is a good deal. All right. And those are like the little things that I find out about from the research that I do, and then let my coaching clients and my students and my members know about. So it's worth it to become a member of the Tax Lien Profits Accelerator. All right. And especially to become a coaching client. They're the first ones that find out about that stuff. Okay. Okay, so Jean, you only got 16 inches. Yeah, we got, when this is over, watch the replay and you'll see what I got outside. All right. And Nicole just put a link in there for you guys to the blog post that I did today. about protecting your investment. And basically it was about paying subsequent taxes and how some counties or municipalities can force you to pay them. In some places, you don't have to worry about paying them. In Florida, you don't get to pay them until the redemption period's over. And you do the tax deed application. And a lot of states, they want you to pay them, but you don't have to until you actually foreclose on the property. And then, of course, you have to. But some places actually force you to pay them. Okay. All right. So any other questions? Any other questions? I think I told you everything that I have to tell you about what I did this weekend is pay those subsequent taxes for that one lien I have in that city of New York. I've got one more year. The end of this year, I can actually get that property. It could still redeem, but if it does redeem, I'll get 12%. Again, the city makes up its own rules. It's not like Nassau County, Nassau County, it's every 6 months, and I forget what the maximum rate is. I don't know if it's 18% or if it's 16%, and then it gets bid down, but that's for every 6 months. So Nassau County is a little different. Some places in New York have higher rates, but this city, it's 12%, and it's 1% a month is how they award it. Okay. All right, so yeah, and the Nassau County tax sale, by the way, that usually happens in February too, but it has been postponed because of COVID. Some states, you'll find that the states with Democratic governors are kind of shut down and some of those states are not having live sales. They are having them here in Pennsylvania. It's weird because some counties have gone online and some counties have still had live sales. Depends on the county in some states. Okay. And New Jersey, some of those municipalities still had live sales. A lot of them that weren't online did go online, but some still had live sales. And that city in New York that I was talking about, they had a live sale in December, I believe. I did not go to that because I was just so busy with this stuff. All right. Any other questions? Actually, I haven't been to a live sale in a while. I think since COVID, since the beginning of 2020. I just don't like the idea of sitting there with a mask on, especially in New Jersey. Like, you have to shout out, and in New York too. It's a bidding situation, and sometimes you get some sales, you get a number, and you could just put up your number. But some sales you just shout out. All right, so Cross is asking, if you get a property in foreclosure, but it can be redeemed in 2 years or 1 year during that time, can you put time, money, effort into it? What happens to improvements, money? Oh, no, you don't do anything. You have no right to that property. You have no right to that property. You cannot do anything to it while it's in foreclosure. If you're talking about after the foreclosure, you're going to have to explain that question for me, because if you get a property in foreclosure, okay, but it can be redeemed in 2 years or 1 year. I don't know what you're saying, because if you foreclose on a property, then it's foreclosed, then you own it. But if you get a lien or a redeemable deed, you do not own the property unless we're talking about Texas. All right, so you got to tell me what state you're talking about, and are you talking about a redeemable deed, a lien, and once it's foreclosed on, then you own it if you're the investor and you did the foreclosure, the tax foreclosure. But if it's during the redemption period, you have no right to do anything to it at all. All right, so I'm not sure what you mean by your question. If you could clarify it for me. All right, and while you're thinking about that, Tenny says, I have bought my first tax deed in Alabama. Do I get to write it off on my taxes? No. No, no, not that I'm aware of, okay? And again, Alabama is not my favorite state to invest in. I haven't personally invested there. But when you buy a tax deed in any state, you don't get to write it off your taxes. Here's what you could write off your taxes. The taxes you pay on that. So when you buy it at the tax sale, you're buying the property. It's like if you were just buying a property, so you don't get to write that off. But when you get a tax bill and you pay the taxes on the property, you get to write that off. And that's something, I'm really not qualified to answer that question. That's a question for a CPA. Right? So that's a question you should talk to your CPA about, because maybe they know a way for you to do it. I don't. All right. Sorry, I couldn't help you more on that, but I am not a tax professional. In other words, I'm not an income tax professional, okay? I'm just a tax lien consultant, not an income tax consultant. That's income tax, that's different. Okay. All right, so cross, if you want to qualify that question for me and give and I be a little bit more specific, then I can answer it for you. But I'm really not sure how to answer it. And that will be the last question for this Facebook Live. And wait a minute, did I miss something? Jean, I think I missed your question. I was watching auction earlier. Is it better to buy a tax sale or a mortgage foreclosure? They were selling both. Sorry, I got here late. Okay. Jean, you're talking about Georgia? Are you talking about Georgia or Texas? Tell me what state. Yeah, and sorry I missed that question earlier. Yeah, because in Georgia and Texas, they do have mortgage foreclosure sales at the same time. And also South Carolina, I think, does the same thing. No, I'm sorry, South Carolina doesn't. It's only Georgia and Texas. They have mortgage foreclosures and tax foreclosures at the same time, just in different places. And the only other place that you might be seeing that if it's online is Pennsylvania. So Jean, I need to know what state you're talking about. Allegheny County. Okay, so you're talking about online. They do specify whether it's a deed sale or a mortgage foreclosure. It would have to say a tax deed foreclosure if it was a deed sale. But they do the mortgage foreclosure. Some of the counties in PA have started doing their mortgage foreclosures online. All right, here's the difference. If you buy it at a tax deed sale, you normally have to pay that day, the same day that you buy it. If you're going to a live sale, they would give you an hour. Being it's online, they might give you another day, but if you buy at the sheriff's sale, you only have to put down a deposit and then you have a few days to come up with the rest. But the tax deed sale, you usually don't get that opportunity. You got to pay right away. So that's one drawback to the deed sale. All right. But with the mortgage sales, the typical starting bid is a lot higher because it's whatever the mortgage company wants to get back. So if it's a $200 a home, valued home, and the people still owe $100,000 mortgage on it, then your minimum bid is going to be $100,000, right? But if it's a tax deed sale, then your minimum bid is just the back taxes and penalties. So that's the other difference. So there's pros and cons. All right, so let me know, Jean, if that answered your question about the Allegheny sales. And they do make a distinction online. And are they done on bid for assets? They will let you know on bid for assets, which is which. There is no redemption period except for Philly. Philadelphia has redeemable deed sales. There is no redemption period in the rest of PA. They're deeds. There is no redemption. They're not redeemable deeds, except for Philadelphia. So you don't understand. Okay, so Cross is saying, so I don't understand the redeemable 1 or 2 year period, what the redeemable 1 or 2 year period means. Well, what state are you talking about? Some states have deeds. They are not redeemable deeds. Some states have liens, and some states have redeemable deeds. And the redemption period is if you buy a lien, it normally has a redemption period. It could, depending on the state, it could be anywhere between 3 months or 2 months to 2-3 years. It just depends on the state. Redeemable deeds, it can be different too, but deeds, most deed states have no redemption period. You're just buying the property when you buy a deed. Okay. When you buy a lien, there is a redemption period, and when you buy a redeemable deed, there is a redemption period. And the only redeemable deed state where you actually own the property, even though there's a redemption period, is Texas. So it's really important, Cross, to let me know the state that you're talking about. When you're talking about improving a property. Okay. And everybody else, I think I've got all the other questions answered. And here's what I recommend. If you don't understand about the redemption period, you could get some real good education in my courses and in my trainings that I do. And here's a really economic way to get my tax lien investing basics course, and that is to become a member of the wealth building webinars. It's $49 a month. That course is a $297 course, and you get it when you become a member of wealth building webinars. And when you become a member of the Tax Lien Profits Accelerator, I've got a whole bunch of courses that you have access to. Now that's $149 a month, but it gives you access to a group coaching call with me. It gives you access to all the wealth building webinars. It gives you access to a lot of the workshops that we've done, and the Tax Lien Investing Blueprint, which is a little more in depth than the Tax Lien Investing Basics course. So there's a whole bunch of ways. Oh, okay, Cross, you're talking about Connecticut. Now, Connecticut is different because you have both liens and redeemable deeds. Either way, there is a redemption period. When you buy a lien, And off the top of my head, I don't remember what that is, but it's in my state guide. I have a state guide that outlines every state and how things work in every state. With a lien, you have to wait the redemption period before you get to foreclose. With a redeemable deed, and some municipalities, now remember in Connecticut, it's not done on the county level. New England doesn't have big county government, it's all city and towns. So it's the municipality. Each municipality gets to choose whether they want to have a lien sale or a redeemable deed sale. With a redeemable deed, it's very similar to a lien, except that you're actually bidding up the price of the property, you're paying premium, and then you're waiting the redemption period until you actually own the property. Okay, that's all we have time for today. And cross, if you'd like to find out more about that, definitely look into joining the Tax Lien Profits Accelerator. Okay, and Nicole has put a link in there for the membership, taxlienlady.com/membership. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here. It's no fun to do this without you. I love answering your questions. There are some, of course, that I'm not qualified to answer. Some of these questions, like the one about taxes, income taxes, that you need a CPA for. But anything that I can answer, I will. And anybody, I'll tell you, anybody that says they're an expert all over the country is pulling your leg, because every state is different. There are a lot of states that I have personal experience in, or that I've actually helped people invest in. I do know of, I do have friends and students that have invested in Alabama, but I have not personally invested in Alabama. However, there are quite a few states that I have personally invested in and that I have personal experience in. All right, everybody, maybe I'll see you. Well, if you want to join the Arizona course, I'll see you tomorrow night. And if you want to go into the Investing for Success private Facebook group, I'll see you on Thursday. Okay, bye.